In this lesson, we're going to work on converting the My Account PSD file to HTML and CSS. So let's open up the My Account PSD into Photoshop. I've already got mine opened up here in advance, and I'm just going to zoom in so we can see the design better. And so for this design, we actually have to create 3 different pages. If you look in the content layer folder, you'll see we have these 3 different folders. So this third folder here is the order details page. Then we also need the order history page, and lastly, the personal details page. Luckily, we'll be able to reuse a lot of our HTML and CSS that we've already written to create these pages. All 3 of these pages require the My Account menu on the left here, the sidebar. So we can just modify the categories sidebar that we created to use on these pages. So for this lesson, we're going to work on converting the order details page. That's folder number 3. And as usual, we're just going to ignore the breadcrumbs at the top. And to get started, we'll modify our category page. So we'll change the categories menu to use for the account menu. And then we'll create this order details section on the right side. So let's switch into our text editor. And let's open up the category.html file. We'll copy all of this code, close it out, and let's create a new file. We'll paste in our code, and let's save this as order-details.html. Let's scroll up to the top, and we'll change the title to say order details. Then let's scroll down to the promo alt section, and let's delete that as we don't need it. And in place of it, let's put a horizontal rule here. Then inside of our main content section, let's get rid of this horizontal rule and the H2 heading, as we won't need those. Then for the categories menu, let's change this ID. This will be my-account-menu. And inside of the H3 heading, we'll change it from categories to account, as that's what the design has here, account. And then let's change the menu links. So the first one will be My Account. Then we have order history. Then we have the wish list and a sign out link. Now let's also update the comment here. So this is the My Account menu. Now I'm going to do things a little different for this one, and I'll add in a little bit of CSS for the account menu, just to get that looking good right off the bat. So let's open up our main.css file, and let's scroll down to our categories menus section. And here we are. So what we'll do is just simply add in the My Account menu ID to these existing styles, and then our account menu will inherit all of this CSS. So I'm just going to change the comment here to say My Account menu as well. And now we just need to add the My Account menu ID to each of these style rules. Let's now do the H3, so My Account menu H3, and then the same thing for the unordered list, My Account menu UL, and then lastly we'll do the links as well. So I'm just going to copy all of them here, and let's paste them below, and we'll change this to My Account menu, and this one as well. And that's it. That was pretty easy. Let's go into the browser and take a look at our page. We'll go to localhost, ecom, PSD to HTML, and this is the order details.html page. All right, our My Account menu looks good. Now we just need to work on having the order details show up on the right side. Let's take a look at our PSD so we can see what the design looks like. So we're just going to need a few different headings, and then each of them will have a couple of paragraphs underneath of them. Then we'll also need a table down here for the products that were ordered. And lastly, we need this link to go back to the order history page, and we'll style it to look like this button. So let's go into our text editor. Let's go back into the order details HTML page, and let's go down here into our listings div. And I'm going to change this ID to be order-details instead. And then we'll select all of the products, and let's delete these out of here as we don't need them. Then let's change the comment to say end order details. And let's also get rid of the pagination section and that top horizontal rule, as we won't need it. Now let's create our headings and our paragraphs and then the table. So we'll need an H1 heading plus then an H2 heading. So you can see we'll need an H1, an H2, a paragraph, an H2, a paragraph, an H2, and then the table. So we've got our H1, our H2. Let's create a paragraph inside of there. Then we'll create another H2, then a paragraph inside of it, and then another H2 plus the table for the product details. So let's expand that. So the first heading says order details. Let's put that in there. Then our H2 is the order number. So we'll change this to order number 323, and that was 232. Then for the paragraph, we're not going to have all of this other information. We're just going to put the order date in there. So let's put date, and this will be March 24th, 2013. Then our H2 heading is buyer information. Let's put this in here. And then we'll list out the buyer's information. So inside of our paragraph, let's put their name of John Doe. Then I'll put a BR tag. We'll put the phone number, 555-555-5555, and another BR. Then we'll put their email of john@doe.com. And now we need the next heading for the products. Let's put that in our H2 heading here, products. Now we need to create our table. So first, let's make sure to show the table's border. So we'll set the border attribute to 1. And if we look at our table, let's scroll over here. So you can see we're going to need 4 table rows. Let's create those first. We'll create 4 table rows. And this first row will be our headings for the table. So we're going to need 5 of those. So inside of our first TR, let's create 5 TH tags. And this first one is the product's number. Then we have the product name. Then the unit price, quantity, and subtotal. So this one will be the unit price, quantity, and subtotal. After that, we need to put in our first and second products. So we'll just create one and then duplicate it for the other. Let's scroll down, and inside of our next TR tag, let's create 5 TD tags. And so the product ID, we'll just set it to 1, then the product's name, then its price of 400, and then the quantity, we'll just order 1 of them, and then the subtotal, which would be 400. So let's copy this, and we'll use it for our second product as well. Let's paste it inside of here. Let's change this one to be product ID 2, and let's order 2 of these. So that would be a subtotal of 800. And now the last table row will be for showing the orders total. So we're going to want to align this on the right and style it a little different. So let's give this TR a class of total, and inside of it we need 1 TD tag, and we want this to span 5 columns, so we'll set colspan to 5. So let's put the subtotal in here. So that would be 800 plus 400, which would be 1200. We'll put a BR tag, then we'll put a span in here, and the total will be 1200. And that's it for the form. Now we just need to create our link here that looks like a button. Let's go back into our text editor. And outside of our table, let's create a link. We'll give this a class of tertiary btn. We'll have this linked to a hash, and the link text will say back to order history. So that's it for our HTML. Let's go into the browser and take a look. We'll refresh the page. There we go. So now we just need to add our CSS. The first thing we'll want to do is float it to the right. Let's go back into our text editor and let's switch into our main.css file. And let's scroll down to right above our footer styles. Here we are. Let's create a new comment. This will be for the order details. And let's target the order details ID. Let's set the text align to left. We'll set the width to 900 pixels. We'll then float it to the right. Let's add a little bit of margin on the bottom of 60 pixels. And we'll also put some padding on the left side of 20 pixels. Now, just like when we were working with the listings, we need to add a little bit of margin to the top for Internet Explorer 7. So let's put a small comment here. This will be for the IE7 margin fix. And let's target the LT-IE8 class, and then our order details ID. And let's set margin top to negative 120 pixels. And that'll fix it and make it look good inside of Internet Explorer 7. So let's see how this looks in Firefox. We'll refresh. There we go. It's now positioned properly. Now let's style our headings. Let's go back into our text editor and let's target the order details ID and H1 headings. And we'll also target H2 headings. So we'll set both of their colors to the dark blue color that we've been using. So that's 2E373F. Then we'll set the font weight to normal. And we'll add a little bit of margin onto the bottom of 20 pixels. And we'll also give them a width of 840 pixels so they don't go all the way across the page. Let's take a look at this. We'll refresh the page. There we go. So that width won't really show up until we add the background color to the headings. Let's go back into our text editor and let's target just the H1 now. So order details H1, and we'll set the font size to 24 pixels. And then we'll target just the H2 headings inside of order details. We'll set their font size to 16 pixels. We'll also give them a background color. If you look at the design, you can see we have this off-white or light gray background. So that's F6, F6, F6. And let's also give it some padding all around of 15 pixels. Let's see how that looks. We'll refresh the page. There we go. And so you can see the width. It's only letting it go partially to the end of the page. Now let's style our paragraphs. So if you look at the design, you can see it's this light color and they're indented a little bit. Let's go back into our text editor and let's target the order details and the paragraphs. Let's set the color to 5F5E5E. Make sure to put our hash symbol here. And then we'll set the margin left to 50 pixels, and that should indent them. Let's take a look. We'll refresh. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now we need to style our table. So we're going to need to change the color of the text. We'll want to push this link away from it. And we'll also want to increase its width so it takes up most of this area. Let's go back into our text editor and let's target order details and the table tag. We'll set the color to 5F5E5E. We'll set the width to 870 pixels. And then we'll set the margin bottom to 40 pixels. And let's refresh. There we go. Looking better. Now let's style the table headings. So if we look at the design, let's scroll down. We can see that there's quite a bit of space in here. Let's go back into our text editor and we can target order details and TH tags. We'll set the padding to 20 pixels. And while we're in here, let's also target the TD tags and we'll set that padding to 10 pixels. As if we look at the design, you can see that it doesn't have quite as much room. So let's refresh this. There we go. Now we need to work on styling the total. So if we look at the design, we can see that it's over here on the right, and we need to bold the total itself. So let's go into our text editor, And let's target the total class. We'll set text align to right. Then we'll target the total class and the span tag that's inside of it. And we'll set the font weight to bold. Let's see how that looks. We'll refresh again. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Now lastly, we just need to style our back to order history link and make it look like a button. So it should look like this here. Let's go back into our text editor and let's scroll down to our button styles. And we can just copy the default button rules and let's paste them down here. Let's change the class to tertiary button. And now we just need to change the colors. Let's change the background color to this off-white light gray color. We'll set this to F6, F6, F6. Then we'll set the text color to a darker gray. Let's set the color to 5F5, E5E. Then we just need to set the box shadow color to an even darker gray. So we'll use B8, B8, B8. Now we need to make sure to add the tertiary button to our IE7 fix. So we'll target the LT-IE8 class and then our tertiary button. And that should fix it in IE7. And with that, we're finished with the order details page. Let's switch into the browser and take a look. Let's refresh and we'll scroll down and there's our button. So here's the final result. It looks pretty good. So that's it for the HTML and CSS of our order details page. I'll see you in the next lesson.